Got to Alabama here, 3:30 kick at Williams-Brice. It's a great opportunity for our football team and our program. Got a lot of respect for their program and obviously Nick. Offensively, it all starts with the quarterback too. Is an outstanding player, very accurate with the football, close to 80% this year as far as his completion percentage. He has legs. He can create off-rhythm plays, as we say, that are very difficult to defend. He's thrown it to a really skilled group down the field. But he's a really good football player. Receiver, Judy and Waddle and Ruggs and Smith are all very talented guys that can run extremely well on the top end, but also guys in the underneath coverages can catch the ball in space and make plays for him. And they've made a bunch for him in the last couple of years. So, we've got our work cut out for us as far as that's concerned. They've recruited really well through running back position, big backs. They're always big up front on the offensive line. Defensively, very physical, tough to move up front. Davis and Dale's, as a freshman, is going to be a really good player for him. Ray, then the two guys on the edges, Lewis and Jennings, really create some fast twitch rush for you on the perimeter, and they're really talented on the back end. So really well coached, obviously, on defense. Special teams, they've got good specialists, and Waddle as a returner probably is as good a guy as there is in our league and maybe in the country. So we got our work cut out for us as far as teams is concerned, and a lot of space plays that they'll try and create.
Well, what did you learn from Nick at LSU, and what kind of separates him from just everybody else in terms of coaching?
Well, I learned a lot. I mean, as far as, obviously from a scheme standpoint, I think, you got to be philosophically aligned with him as far as the things how he sees the game played, offense, defense, and special teams. So obviously from a scheme standpoint, I learned a lot, but the evaluation process and the recruiting, as far as the critical factors we look for and define for every position, and I think really even took that a step further when I went to the Miami Dolphins and was a part of the draft and going and working players out and really narrowed down exactly what we look for by position. In the evaluation process, I think really helped me and our programs moving forward as far as those things. As far as all-season program, how we ran the all-season program, we do very similar things in the all-season program. How we install in training camp, how we install in spring ball, how we do spring ball. Our summer programs are very similar as far as the players are concerned and what we do. How we practice is very similar to what we did when I was with Nick. So, we've carried over a lot of things that obviously work extremely well, but I learned a lot.
None of Nick's former assistants have beaten him. Is it as simple as his teams are really good and it's hard to do, or is it more to it than that?
No, I think that, it's more to it than that. You got to beat Alabama. And at the end of the day, John, they're not going to beat themselves. They're well coached. They've got good players. But you've got to go beat Alabama. You got to have an aggressive mindset when you go into the ball game. You got to do the simple things really well in the game, and you can't start trying to play out of what you normally do. At the end of the day, there's going to be 4 to 6 plays in this game that are going to determine the outcome of the game, just like every other game we play. And we've got to outwork this football team for 60 minutes and be in position in those 4 to 6 plays to win the game. And that's no different than any other game, and don't treat it any different than any other game.
Well, you mentioned about right here how much you learned from Nick during your time with him. How much of a plus is that for you when it comes to preparing for him, or does that go out the window because you look at the other side, he knows a lot about you and your philosophy?
I think it has a whole lot of bearing on the game. It's the players that line up between the white lines when the game kicks off, and it's 11 Alabama and there's 11 from South Carolina, and those guys will determine the outcome of the game. And obviously we got to do a great job of preparing our team, but the familiarity on each side of things I think is a little blown out of proportion as far as those things are concerned. You can overthink this thing too, and I haven't worked for Nick since 2005. It's a long time ago. One of the many things I learned from Nick is you treat every game the same, and that's the way he approaches his organization. That's the way he approaches every game to maintain balance and not the ebbs and flows of how you approach a game. So you treat one game really, really important, and the next week it's not important. They're all important, and obviously the players, we had probably more juice at a Tuesday practice this morning than we've had, and that's normal. That's part of it. And I always talk in terms of the build up to game day to Saturday afternoon at 3:30. But one of the many things I learned from him was, the players understand the important games, and they understand that. But you as a coach have to approach all of them the same, because then your players will start choosing and picking when they think it's important to play and when it's not important to play. And then you create the ups and downs in your performance, and you don't have consistency in your performance. And I agree with him 100% on those things.